Hello everyone, welcome to your last maths lesson of the week then, and then we've only got one more week and then it's half term and we can have a little break. Well done. Let's start with some fluency then. So what we've been looking at this week is using our number facts to 10 to help us with our related number facts. Using those number facts to 10 to help us calculate our inverses, calculate our number facts to 100, calculate our number facts to 20. So building on all that stuff that we've done across the week, I would like you to have a go at pausing the video and using this number fact here, 5 plus 5 equals 10, to write down as many other number facts that you know because you know this. And I've got down here a little hint box to help you out. So think about your inverses. That means the opposite equation. So if you've got an addition here, you're thinking about those subtractions that you also know. Think about what that means for your number facts to 100. Think about what that means for your number facts to 20. And also you might have noticed here that our two addends are the same. So that means we can use maybe our 2 times tables, or we can use our knowledge of doubling and halving, because when we have two addends that are the same, that is the same as saying double this. So have a go, pause the video, write down as many as you can think of. If you manage to get at least 50 number facts that you know, just because you know this one, then I'd love for you to take a picture of that and send it through to your class email account so that I can see. When you've had a go, play the video again and I'll talk you through some number facts that I know, and you can see whether you got the same as me. Super, so hopefully you've been able to have a go at that now. Let's have a think then. So if I know that 5 plus 5 equals 10, then I also know that, well, I know that addition is commutative, so I could switch these around, but because my addends are the same, that's not going to help me out here because it would just be the same number sentence. So let's go straight on to those inverses then. So when I do a subtraction, I need to start with my whole, my biggest number. So I need to do 10, subtract one of my parts, 5, equals my other part, which is also 5. Like we said, we know that our addends are the same. So I could say that I know that double 5 is equal to 10. And also the inverse of that, I know that half of 10 is equal to 5. Let's think about those number facts to 100 then. If I know that 5 plus 5 equals 10, then that must mean that 5 tens, which is 50, plus another 5 tens, which is 50, is also equal to 10 tens, which is 100. Once again, addition is commutative, but because my addends are the same, it would be, there'd be no point in swapping those around because it would just give me the same one. So let's jump straight to our inverses then. Well, the inverse of addition is subtraction. So that means I'm going to start with my whole, which is 100. I'm going to subtract one of my parts, which is 50, and that will lead me to my other part, which is 50. And then once again, for this equation here, my two addends are the same. So if I know that double 5 is 10, then I know that double 50 is 100. Double 50 is equal to 100. So then the inverse of that must also be true. Half of, remember when we half, we're starting with our bigger number. So half of 100 is equal to 50. And you could have even gone on and said maybe 500 plus 500 equals 1,000. 1,000 take away 500 equals 500. Double 500 equals 1,000. But those are very big numbers that you will get into more in year 3. But I know that some of you may have already said that. Right, let's have a think then. If I can double, because my addends are the same? Well, that's the same as saying that I've got 2 groups of 5. So I could say that I've got 2 groups of 5 and that is equal to 10. Or I could say that I've got 5 2 times and that is equal to 10. Or maybe over here, I can work out if I've got 2 50s, that I could maybe say 50 times 2 is equal to 100, or 2 groups of 50 equals 100 as well, because multiplication is commutative. Now I can also do my inverse operation here. What's the inverse of multiplication? The opposite of multiplication is divide, in which case I start with my bigger number and I could say 10 divided by 2 would give me 5, or 10 divided into groups of 5 would give me 2 groups. And equally here, we could go on to then say that 100 divided into 2 groups would be 50 in each group, or 100 divided into groups of 50 would equal 2 groups. Right, let's go on to our number facts to 20. So I know that 5 plus 5 equals 10. Now 10 is obviously just 1 10. So if I'm trying to make 20, there would be a whole extra 10 there. So what I'll do is I will add that extra 10 to my first addend. So instead of it being 5, I will have 1 10 and 5 ones. And then that means that the next addend has to bond with those 5 ones to make my other whole 10. And we already know that 5 bonds with 5 to make 10. So if I know that 15 plus 5 is equal to 10, then I also know, because addition is commutative, that 5 plus 15 is equal to 20. But also we can work out those inverses and start with our biggest number and say that 20 take away 5 would leave us with 15, or that 20 take away 15 would leave us with 5. So many number facts there that we know just because we know 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. So well done if you happen to get lots of the same ones as me. Okay, let's go on to today's maths lesson then. Today we're looking at shape, and particularly putting shapes into patterns. Now, a pattern is what we have here. So these are examples of patterns. And I'd just like you to pause the video and maybe shout at the screen or tell somebody in the room or write your ideas down. What do you notice about all these patterns that I have here? Lovely, hopefully you've had some ideas then, and hopefully you've said something along the lines of that there are repeated shapes. So for example here, we are alternating between a red heart and a pink heart. Red heart, pink heart, red heart. What do you think would come next? It's repeated. And here we have triangle, rectangle, triangle, rectangle, triangle, rectangle. So these have got 2 different shapes. These are changing their colour. And over here we've actually got 4 shapes in our pattern. We've got triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. So they are shapes that are sequenced in a repetitive order. So that means that they come in an order, one after another, and that same group of shapes is repeated again and again and again. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work out either the ends of patterns, missing shapes from patterns, wrong shapes within patterns. And we're going to do that by, first of all, saying the shapes aloud. So we're going to say the shapes that we can see out loud. And after that, we're going to try and identify the core. Now, the core is what we call the main group of shapes that is being repeated, okay? So that one group of shape together that is going again and again and again, that is the core. And then what we're going to do is we're going to repeat that core pattern to be able to identify the shape. So let's have a look. What we're going to do is we're going to say the shapes aloud. So circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle. Now, hopefully you already know in your head what is about to come next, but I just want to talk to you about identifying the core. So what I tend to do if I'm identifying the core is I tend to group my first two shapes together like this. Circle, rectangle. So that means that the next two must also be circle, rectangle. Circle, rectangle. Does that match? Perfect. Circle, rectangle. There we go. Does that match? Perfect. So my core is circle, rectangle, because this core here is being repeated again and again and again. So circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle. What comes after the circle? Hopefully you said rectangle. So then I would draw my rectangle in, and then I know that that's another repetition of my core. And then I've got two more left. Well, then that just means that my core starts again and I go circle, rectangle. Let's have a look at this. Right, let's say the pattern aloud. Triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square. So what we need to do is we need to identify the core. Can you pause the video and tell me, or maybe you can circle with your fingers, what you think the core pattern is that is being repeated? Okay, let's have a look then. So let's highlight those first two shapes. So I can see that there are only two shapes. There are triangles and there are squares here. So I'm going to circle those two shapes together to see if those are being repeated. Let's see then, triangle, square. Are my next pair triangle, square? Yes, they are. Are my next pair triangle, square? Yes, they are. So I've identified my core as the triangle, square, because that's what's being repeated. Triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square. So that means my next two shapes are the core again, which starts with a triangle and ends with a square. There we go. Okay, let's have a go at reading these shapes aloud then. Triangle, rectangle, rectangle, triangle, rectangle, rectangle. So what we need to do is we need to finish the pattern. So let's have a look. I can see triangles and I can see rectangles. So let me group together the first two shapes. So triangle, rectangle. Is this a triangle? No, it's not. So that means that this is not the core, because if this was the core, then I would get triangle, rectangle, triangle, rectangle, triangle, rectangle, but it's all wrong if I do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at adding this shape into my core as well. So let's see, triangle, rectangle, rectangle. Do I have that same thing again? Triangle, rectangle, rectangle. Yes, I do. So I'm going to group this together. So that means that this is by core here, triangle, rectangle, rectangle, triangle, rectangle, rectangle. So what comes next? Well, I've got two full cores here, so it just repeats again, and it starts with a triangle and has a rectangle after it. If it were to continue again, there would be another rectangle. Fantastic. Have a go at pausing the video and seeing if you can say the shapes aloud and identify the core, and then we'll do that together. Fantastic. Hopefully you've been able to have a go at that. So let's have a look. In this pattern, I see circle, triangle, circle, circle, triangle. So I can see circles and I can see triangles in my pattern. Let's have a look then. Let's have a look at those first two shapes. Circle, triangle. If this is my core, then I will get circle, triangle, circle, triangle. Is that right? No, so if that pattern is not being repeated, then what that means is my core is incorrect. It's not right. So let's now extend that, including the next shape. So let's try this one. Circle, triangle, circle. Let's see if that's our pattern. Circle, triangle, circle. Circle, triangle. What should be here? Circle. So there we go. We found a core that works. So circle, triangle, circle. So that now means that this is my next core repeated. So now here it's got to start again, and my core starts with a circle. So I draw another circle. After my first circle comes a triangle. And then if I were to continue it again, I would draw another circle. Well done, but I don't need to, because it's not asking me to. Okay, this time we've got some shapes missing in the middle of our patterns. So let's have a go at saying those shapes aloud. Circle, triangle, square, circle, square, circle, triangle, So I can see that there are 3 different types of shapes in this pattern. There are circles, there are triangles, and there are squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group those 3 shapes together like this. Circle, triangle, and squares. Group those together. So let's see, if this is my core, then that's what we should see being repeated again and again. So circle, triangle, square. Circle, square. So these 2 are right. All that's missing from the middle is my triangle. Fantastic. There we go. So now that's my core repeated again. So circle, triangle, square, circle, triangle, square, circle, triangle. So all these are right so far. Circle, triangle, and square is missing. Well done if that's what you said. And that's my other core repeated again. So again, I'm going to remove this, and I'd like you to pause the video, say the shapes out loud, and have a go at trying to identify the core. When you've had a practice, we'll come together again, play the video, and go through it. Okay, hopefully you've had some time to have a go at that. Let's have a look. So I could see rectangle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, Okay, so I can see 2 shapes. I can see rectangles and I can see circles. Now, what I would do is if I were to just group these 2 together, then I would know that that's not right, because if it was just these 2 rectangles being repeated, then I wouldn't have any circles. So that can't be my pattern. So let's include this circle and let's see if that gets repeated. So rectangle, rectangle, circle. Rectangle, rectangle, circle. Did that get repeated? Yes, it did. So that means my core is correct because it's repeated itself. So rectangle, rectangle, circle. Rectangle, rectangle, circle. So now I'm on to my next core, which starts with a rectangle. So I'm going to draw another rectangle in here. So we've got rectangle, rectangle, circle. That's right. So let's group that together as well. And then my next core again goes rectangle. What comes after the first rectangle? A second rectangle. Well done. And then that core is not quite finished because I would need to have another circle here. Oh, now we've got to work out a mistake that has been made. So let's have a look. We're going to say the shapes out loud. So I've got rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle. So let's have a look then. So I can see rectangles and I can see circles. So if I were to group my rectangle and my circle together, I would see rectangle, circle. Let's see if rectangle, circle gets repeated. Rectangle, circle. That's not right. So because it hasn't repeated itself, I know that I've identified my core wrong. So rectangle, circle, rectangle. Let's extend our core to include this. So there we go. Rectangle, circle, rectangle. Rectangle, circle, rectangle. Is that right? Well, the shapes are right, but what do you notice about this set of three compared with our core? What do you notice? Well, hopefully you've noticed that our second rectangle has changed its orientation from being vertical to a horizontal, where the long lines are going horizontally. So it kind of looks like it's tipped over a little bit. So I would say, let's just check that this one matches it. Circle, rectangle, don't even know my own shape, silly me. Rectangle, circle, rectangle. Well, does this match our first core? Yes, it does, because it's the same shapes in the same order and in the same orientation. That means they haven't been turned in any different direction. So I can identify that this is the mistake because the rectangle is not the same as the other rectangles in the pattern. Remember, a pattern means that it's repeated identically. So if something slight is off, then it's a mistake. Let's have a look at this one then. So we've got circle, square, circle, square, circle. Let's start that again. Circle, square, circle, circle, square, circle, 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 circle. Oh my goodness, so many circles. Something definitely doesn't look right there. Let's have a look then. So I can see circles and I can see squares. So let's have a go at grouping those two. Let's see if that core gets repeated. Circle, square, circle, square. No, that's not a square, is it? So let's extend our core to include this circle. Let's see if that's right. Circle, square, circle. Circle, square, circle. Did that get repeated? Yes, it did. So I've identified my core correctly because it has been repeated. So that means I should get circle, square, circle, circle, square, circle, circle, square. Is that correct? No, that's wrong. So that means that this one is the mistake because it should be a square. Well done if you worked that out. Okay, so now we're going to go on to an open question for you. Jill makes a pattern and it looks like this. Now, you might want to say that this is a diamond. This is not a diamond. This is a square. It is a square that has been tilted on its side. So we've got a sort of tilted square, a triangle, square. So we've got tilted square, triangle, square. So she thinks that the 10th shape in her pattern will be a blue triangle. Is she right? How do you know? So what we need to do is we need to repeat this core until I get to my 10th shape in that pattern. So what we'll do is we'll shrink these down and we'll move them over here. So tilted square, triangle, rectangle. So what I've got is I've got number 1, 2, and 3 in my pattern. Now I want to get all the way to my 10th shape. So I need to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. So let's have a look at what that would be. Well, if this is my core, this is what's going to be repeated here. So then I would have tilted square, triangle, square. There we go, and that would be my core repeated again. And then I would have tilted square, triangle, square. And then that would be my core repeated again. My core would start again here, so my 10th shape would be the tilted square. So I would say Jill is wrong because on the 10th shape, the core starts again and it starts with our tilted square. And then here we've got an opportunity for you to make as many patterns as you can think of using these shapes. So first of all, I might just choose 2 of them. I might choose circle and triangle. And if that's my core, then I might repeat that again. Circle, triangle, circle, triangle. So that's one pattern I could make. Maybe I could choose a combination of 2 different ones. Maybe I would choose my pentagon and my square. And if that's my core, then that would be repeated again. Pentagon, square, pentagon, square. And that would be another pattern. I could make another combination of 2. Maybe you can think of your own combination of 2. And then maybe I could increase my core to have 3 shapes. So let's say I've now got triangle, circle, square. If that's my core, then that needs to be repeated again. Triangle, circle, square. Triangle, circle, square. Fantastic. Maybe I could have another combination of 3, this time including my pentagon. Maybe I could have a combination of 4. Let's try pentagon, square, circle, triangle. If that's my core, then that needs to be repeated again and again and again. I wonder if you can maybe think of a pattern that I haven't thought of here. Right, let's have a look at your activity for today then. So your activity for today is to, number 1, circle sheets, complete the patterns. Same as what we've just been doing before, identify the core, perhaps circle the core if I were you, see if that core gets repeated. If not, try again at identifying the core. If it does get repeated, well done, you found the core, and then keep repeating that to work out the rest of the pattern. That semicircle sheet then has those missing shapes inside the pattern, no longer at the end of it for you to continue, but a middle shape is missing. Now you've got to be careful because some of these shapes are all the same shapes. For example, this one has got triangle, 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 triangle. They're all triangles, but they're not all the same triangles because you might have noticed that this triangle is not only a different colour, but it is also upside down. So think about how you say the shapes out loud, because if you just said triangle, 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 it would be very confusing. So if I were you, I would probably be trying to say green triangle, upside down blue triangle, green triangle, green triangle, green triangle, green triangle, upside down blue triangle, etc. Okay, same for this one here with your rectangles. You've got your blue rectangle with the horizontal long lines, and then you've also got the yellow rectangles with the vertical long lines instead. So think very carefully because some of these are trying to trick you. And then the triangle is where you need to identify the mistake. So one of the shapes in these sequences is wrong, and you need to tick which one it is. And then the square sheet is just like we did the square sheet is just like we did with finding the 10th shape. You need to explain whether Jessie is correct or not by calculating the pattern until you get to that 12th shape. So if you're not sure how to do the square sheet, go back and rewind to the part in the video where I modeled that with the 10th shape. And then that pentagon sheet is just like we did on that last one, where we had to make our own patterns as many different times as we could. I'll be super impressed if anybody could make at least 5 different patterns, maybe more than 10 would be super impressive. So I can't wait to see all the patterns that you come up with if you do this pentagon sheet. Remember, you don't need to do all the sheets. You just need to do a minimum of 2 and make sure that they are sufficiently challenging for you. If you're not sending your work in every day, then this is the maths work that I would definitely like to see from you, please. Once again, though, well done, everybody. We're nearly there, nearly through that first full half term of home learning. You are all superstars. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Bye, everyone.